Hello, CO 101 class. It's good to be with you here this week. My topic on this week is a disaster that happened in New York that never happened. There was a building that was built for City Court, and it was completed in 1977. The, uni- the unique thing about this building, the support beams were in the middle of the building instead of the corners. If you look at it today, you will see the support beams in the middle. The reason they had to do that was, I believe his church name was St. Peter's. Said, yeah, we'll sell you the land, but you can't take our church and you can't take the land. You can build over top of us, you can build beside us, you can build around us, you can build underneath of us, but you cannot take this church. This church has to stand. So they built over top of the church another 4 stories so that the church would be able to stand and they could rebuild if they wanted to. And it was a remarkable feat. So a Princeton University a thesis advisor advised a young lady at the time, Diane Hurley, to do a thesis on the city court building. And she took his suggestion and she went, and Mr. The Measure actually sat down and talked to this young woman, which was really remarkable. You know, here's a senior in college and here's a well-established structural engineer. I mean, this is amazing that he would even take time. So long about the same time, he was up in Canada, and somebody asked him, well, how much did it cost you to do welding? That they call it penetrating welding. And he says, I don't know, I have to get back with you. I have to call the office. So he called the office, and he found out that they had used bolts instead of this penetrating welding. This girl, Diane Burley, went and gathered up all the facts. She run the calculation. All the calculations seemed to fit and come out okay, except when you had a corner wind. They call it a quarterly wind. And this is where the wind hits the building at a corner. When you have the steel beams on the corners of the building, you have no problem. The uh, the bolts that were holding the building together were really above code at that time. And you can find this on PBS. They have one that's called the Eye. It's out of San Diego. It's in a book called Ethical Engineering Ethics. And you also have the New York Times, which this story did not come to fruition or come to light until 1995, when it was first reported on. Mr. Lemessurier went to the city court CEO and said, "We have a problem. And the problem is that the way the building is now is okay. But if we get a corner wind, it's going to topple this 59-story building. And it's going to wipe out, whichever direction it goes, it's going to wipe out the building." It would have been on the magnitude of 9/11, if that gives you any idea. And so the gentleman asked him, "How much is it going to cost?" He says, "Well, I don't think a couple $1,000,000. He says, "You got a $150 building here, and it could collapse at any time." So he agreed to it. So Lemessurier put in place a strategic plan to get this building back in a safe environment as quickly as possible. They had 120 Red Cross volunteers. They had the fire department on standby. They had the police department that was there at night. They had 100 welders welding this building, and that is a tremendous amount of welders. And these welders would come in when everybody would leave that afternoon to go home, and they would weld all the way until the time it was for the employees to come into work. They put everything back in place. Nobody knew anything about it. It was just, it went over beautifully. Well, about halfway through the penetrating welding and getting everything's going smooth, there come a hurricane that was supposed to hit New York called, I believe it was Hurricane Helen. They were within 2 hours of putting their disaster plan into effect. It just so happened that the hurricane turned and went back out into Atlantic and dissipated. Within 8 weeks, they had the building sound, sturdy, to where if a quarter wind hit, it would be okay. The amazing thing about the story is, in engineering ethics, with the professional society, the Society of Professional Engineers, their first motto is hold paramount the safety, health, and well-being of the public. And IEEE, which stands for International Electrical and Electronic Engineer, it first canon is do no harm and make sure the public's safe. When you're in engineering and engineering ethics, that's what you're taught. Safety, safety, safety. Well, this gentleman took it upon himself with great risk, great harm to his reputation, and he still went and did the right thing. He went and he told the city court CEO, he got the welders in place, he got everything like he was supposed to, and it cost Mr. They measure $2 million. And I don't think that's bad for a $150 million building. On top of that, they had a damper on top that would, if the building would sway one way, the damper would go another way, and that was another ingenious idea that we'll discuss at a later time. Thank you for your time.